Hello and welcome to your very first mid-month messages. Since this is the first one, I want to give you a quick intro to what this space is going to be. You can expect pick-a cards, energy readings, pick-a piles. These are longer check-ins that look at the themes moving through the month. Sometimes it'll focus on what's happening right now, and other times it might pull in something from earlier in the month or even what's starting to show up ahead. This is a magical, designated space for more context and clarity. Let's get into it. This pile is pile 111. This pile is 444. This one is 555. And this one is 730. Go ahead now and you can choose your pile, whichever one you are drawn to. Pile 111. Let's see what 3 cards have been drawn for you. Strength, 2 of Swords, and the Moon. They've all been turned upside down. Okay. I have been seeing themes already with the Strength card and the 2 of Swords and the Moon this month, and I find it to be amazing that we have the new moon coming up. So mark your calendars for April 17th, 2026. That is in 3 days. The message that I have adopted over the years of reading tarot, it's weird saying that, many years of reading tarot, I had a difficult time processing the Strength card, especially when I would get readings done myself. And processing and, being told, oh, you have to find the strength. And while those messages can resonate as true, there's just something that I find to be more empowering about creating the strength. And if you've been here for a while, you know that is my go-to message for the Strength card. To be really specific with this card, it is about collecting these pieces of yourself that you would often think as weaknesses. But the realization behind it is that these weaknesses can empower you. They can strengthen you within the present moment. It really is about like a conquering of sorts. Like you have a fear of something, but how do you go about conquering it? Do you face that fear? Do you try to figure out where that fear has come from? It's doing the deep dive within yourself. But when we move into the 2 of Swords and the Moon and we pair that with the Strength card, you're looking at being afraid of this part of you that you've always known to have existed. Hello, Samhain. You have always known to have existed, but the fear behind it and acceptance of yourself is what has drifted you away from it. So because of your fears about your true identity as an individual, the moon is really this call to dive into that part of yourself, to not be afraid of these things because of what society has deemed normal. 2 of Swords is this direct path. Like, are you going to continue down the same path, hiding your identity, hiding who you are inside, or are you going to embrace that path? There is something so special about these cards. Also self-discovery here. So the Moon, the 2 of Swords, and the Strength is this representation of self-discovery and coming to terms with you are one with the universe. And not to sound cliche and basic, your energy is very powerful. There is this maturity that has also happened, and I see that within the Mother Maiden Crone symbol. There is this maturity, and it's not, specified to any gender. It's one of those universal things, but there is a level of maturity that has been presented here, knowing that you're going through the next phase in your adulthood. And there's something to speak on adulthood, it is the weirdest experience ever. And I have tried to find the ways to explain to my child, because he does have very big questions. And hello, Chappa. I guess I'm just going to have some visitors in the reading. Oh, she's coming to check it out. Adulthood is a very weird thing to me, because I have a lot of responsibilities, but yet I have this childlike wonder. I am very much still my inner child of curiosity and having fun. And I do have a problem with taking things really serious, and that's why I tend to go toward the side of like perfectionism, and I try way too hard for things. Like, for example, what I'm doing here, I'm trying way too hard. So as these mid-month messages go through, I hope to feel more relaxed doing them and not afraid of messing up, pronouncing things wrong, or, presenting myself as just me, and maybe letting my accent slip out a little bit more. I really do try to control my accent. I've always done that over the years. I actually changed that. So the reason why I say this, I really feel like this is fitting for this whole thing. Like, you have shifted, you have changed, you have drifted away from, the person that you were born as, and there's nothing wrong with that, I might say. But there's also this part of you that is keeping you from being the person that you want to be. Like, you're still tied to this identity that you just don't want anymore. And so you're shifting into that new perspective, that maturity level, the understanding, and you're also wanting to connect with who you are, the curiosity to be you. And that takes a lot of strength and courage to move through those feelings, to recognize where they're coming from, recognize the why, the how, and the possibilities. In order to be your authentic self, to pull yourself through, you have to overcome a lot of those self-limiting beliefs. Self-limitations will kill dreams. They will kill goals. And it is one of the major things that I am still working through. And so I absolutely understand, to a point, may not be a specific exact match of the situation, but self-limits, they're there for a reason, but they are overused. Just like boundaries. You can have boundaries, but there's always the unbalanced perspective. And the key to it is the balance. The key to everything is the balance. The understanding of balance, and how you do things appropriately, or to the point where there's not an excess of those things. And finding that balance is important. It's important for this. So the moon asks you, what or who are you? What is your identity? Who are you on the inside, but you're afraid of presenting that on the outside? Are you afraid of shame? Are you afraid of the experience? Because I will tell you this, you are going to equally experience all the negative emotions like you would the positive. So if you go in being afraid of the negative, being afraid of rejection and shame and, the emotional side of it, then you're never going to make that decision that's going to benefit you in the process. And the only way that I can connect with this in the present moment is, showing more of myself, creating videos. And because as a person, I like to stay quiet. I like to stay in my own realm and not share too much information. But the other part of me is like, I want to educate. I want to, show my face more. I want to be, I want to talk. I want to share experiences. But at the same time, I just don't want to. There's this fighting on the inside, but who I am on the inside is who I want to be on the outside. And on the inside, I want to share the experience, because I feel like we need more people willing to do that. Because I benefit so much from other people sharing their experiences, and I just thrive with that. So, but with that comes rejection. And of course, you have really, really hateful people on the internet and in real life. I'm telling you, it's horrible. But you also meet really great people, and that balances it out. That makes it so much better, and it really pushes you to do it more. And so bring who you are on the inside to the outside, so you can feel comfortable in your skin, within your mind, and you're not at war with yourself. Be authentic, be real with you, talk about things that matter to you, and share experiences. Share what it feels like. Be vulnerable in these moments, because vulnerability is the most human thing that can be shared. Others need to know that they're not alone. And I really feel like this whole thing concludes to that your story is worth sharing. It is worth helping others with. And just talking about it makes it known, and other people will be able to listen. And I'll say this again, your story matters. It really does. I feel like that wraps up this pile. Pay attention to the Strength card and the Moon. The Moon's energy is going to shift this whole situation. I feel like it is calling you to work with the new moon on April 17th. All right, pile number 1. That's your message for this month. If you picked another pile, I'll see you there. If not, be bold, be brave, be kind. Hello, pile number 2. You chose 444. So let's get into this. The Queen of Swords, Death, and the 3 of Pentacles. Every time the Death card shows up, it is automatically my favorite reading. So you're my favorite reading. We'll see what other cards show up, but 100% my favorite reading, because I thrive with the Death card. It is a card that I will choose over and over and over again. It's something that brings comfort within the madness and the chaos and all of the change. And it, seriously, it could be the entire reading. Death card will go on and on and on and on. You have the Queen of Swords, Death, and the 3 of Pentacles. There has been this significant shift. And I'm wondering if you chose pile number 1 or you were hesitant on it at first. Because this marks a very recent situation, but it also looks more into of what's going to happen. It's not a future reading. But there is this mending of the heart happening. Your ideas and your creativity are fruitful. They are going to bear the harvest that you want, and most importantly, that you need. The Death card comes in to relay that if you are willing to let go of things that are no longer a part of you, but you carry them in remembrance, if you're willing to let things go, you're going to be able to move forward within the goals that you want to achieve. There is a connection to the past here, and I can just see within my heart, or I can feel within my heart, that there is this attachment, and it stems from fear of, what if I lose myself in this process? And you can't lose yourself here when all you are doing is reclaiming that energy. Everything is temporary, the good and the bad. That is both, a blessing and a curse. It is both comforting and discomforting to know. Even the present, even though you're experiencing such great things, it is all temporary. And that is why you are being asked to really soak it all in. Appreciate this moment. Appreciate how slow things are going, because movement is ahead. The Queen of Swords is this mending energy, mending of the heart, the mind, the soul, and reconnecting with who you are, and disconnecting from these external things. We often are looking externally for every answer that we have. But the Queen of Swords, the energy of this card is like you're finding it from within, and now you're diving deeper into it. And so this whole mentality that you had to search for something externally, or you had to pray to something externally, or you had to offer something for the external, it's fading away. And I'm not seeing that darkness is coming in. I'm not seeing anything negative from this, although it does take a mental toll, because then logic, reason, emotion, and spiritual connections, they really do you start questioning everything at this point. But you've noticed that when you do look within and you take care of yourself and you work on these things that have held you back or have limited yourself from, that there's something more to this, but you're not going to look externally anymore. Everything is within you. You can talk to the universe, or if you prefer to talk to God, you can do that. But I am here to remind you that everything starts within the heart and the mind. You can ask for over and over and over again, but if you're not making the moves, it will not align to you properly. If you're not proving it to yourself, you're not here to prove it to anybody else but yourself. That is that's the law of the universe. A universal law that you can ask for it and you will receive it. But you also have to do the work. And that work is internalized. And I'm honestly surprised that we don't have the Hermit here, because it's giving off Hermit energies of needing introspection and reflection. But the Death card covers that 100%, because it really is this inside out movement, a recognition that everything that you're doing is making a difference, even though you're not able to see it on the outside. It's one of those situations that I do often bring up when people come to me and ask me, well, it feels like nothing is happening in my life. What is going on? And then I say, oh, it's because everything is under the surface right now. You have to shift your mentality and your life from the inside then out. It doesn't start happening from the outside. It only happens from the inside out, because our physical realities, they can shift without us even noticing. But until you are on that level of understanding and aligned with that physical reality, you are not going to see it. Until you've reached that internal understanding. That is why both individual and collective paths are so important. When the individual is aware, it connects to the collective. Think about our souls, compare them to what's under the ground, the root systems of the plants and mushrooms, all of the trees. They stand individually above ground. But when we plant our feet, there is that connection, the root system, which is a very important part of our root chakra, that connects us. And there's also within our crown chakra where we are connected to what is above and within the realms. And I say that because the death card is truly the combination. And it's as above, so below. Because everything must come to an end. Everything must die. And there is this cycle that happens within us where we are connected as above, so below. The soul connects us as a collective. And this is where your perspectives shift. What I'm looking at is an individual's very beginning. While you've accessed this information before, you've gone through something similar, but with the death card being present, this is where it really happens. And if you've had the death card present before, that's when the shifts start to happen in other aspects and other areas of your life. This one has to do within relationships and with the individual perspective and the connection to the divine, because the Queen of Swords is, like I said, the change of heart. It is the proof of becoming your own individual person. It really makes me think about the journey of going through or being the child and growing into an adult, and then having more of the responsibilities and really developing your own, like you're your own person. And growing up a certain way, you have shifted your perspectives. And even if you're not just becoming an adult, you're still going through these phases as an adult because of society. And so that's why it's showing beginner stages of all sorts, because you are now really thinking, the wheel is turning. And I'm surprised, we have the wheel energy and the hermit energy, but I really feel like the death card, it speaks for it all. And I love it because you can tell that you've worked really steady through this process. And while it has been slow, you have learned and adapted, evolved through it so much that you have been able to access the abundance and the prosperity that this mentality has led you to. You've had a great harvest from it. A lot of knowledge has been passed down to you, and you're really feeling it from within. Like there's a point to where we hear it, we listen to it, but when we feel it, it's a whole different level. And so this is really about the process of connecting with it and feeling it. Someone planted a seed for you, and it has sprouted. It's growing, it's blooming. There is a bloom in the future. Again, the death card is such a crucial point in your life where you have gone from one person to another. And that's just within yourself. You have changed so much, but for yourself. And, pile number 1 is really about authenticity and being who you are from the inside. And I do think this has the notes of that. It doesn't dive too much into that, but there is still the message that resonates. All right, pile number 2. That's your message for this month. If you picked another pile, I'll see you there. If not, be bold, be brave, be kind. See you next time. Hello, pile number 3. How are you? The cards I have pulled for your session: the Knight of Wands, the 5 of Cups, and the 9 of Swords. I can feel the heaviness already for this from this session, but the good news is that it's moving, okay? But it really depends on how you move through it, whether it lingers a little bit longer, or you can finally say, you know what, it's not even worth focusing on anymore. Now, your energy has been drained, and it's very obvious. With the 9 of Swords alone, this card tells you that you can barely pick yourself up from the rest, and it's hard to get moving again after this period of rest, whether you have gone through just a really tough situation, you are tired, or you're dealing with physical recovery. Regardless, you are still doing physical recovery because of your body and the rest, and that it's you just don't want to get up right now. And I can see here that it's out of wanting something to really work. I'm seeing relationship issues. But this person, okay, I love what the Knight of Wands can become, but I do not get along with the Knight of Wands. I just don't, because I see right through this person already. The Knight of Wands is such a card of, you have to repeat yourself to this person over and over and over again, and they just don't get it. They don't get it. And I've had people, and I wonder if you've picked this pile. You know who I'm talking about. The Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. There are some good things that come out of that card. There are, and I've experienced them. But having so many readings, the 9, excuse me, I don't know if I'm saying the 9 of Wands or if I'm actually saying Knight. Who knows? The Knight of Wands. They move through things without thinking about them, okay? And that can be a good thing, but no. Right now, if this person is making you feel like this, bye. Let's just go ahead and close the door. Close the door on that card, on that person, because you are wanting something so badly to come from this situation, and it's not going to happen. You're wanting it so badly, but it's going against everything that you are trying to accomplish. Obviously, in the 5 of Cups, you have the fairies trying to show you the opportunity in the situation that can take a turn for you. And of course, when we're in these moments, when our heart is set on something or our mind is, we don't want anything else. Nothing else in that moment. Let's bring back the Knight of Wands, though. I guess we're going to have to give the card a chance to talk or defend itself. Because I have a feeling that's what's happening. I'm sorry. Out of my previous first two readings, the cards were not this sassy, and I for sure was not this sassy, but you can blame the Knight of Wands. I get, I don't want to say rude, but I just don't like the energy. I don't like the energy of the Knight of Wands. They can be a really good person on the inside, but they have a lot of battles, a lot of struggles, and oftentimes when we see the Knight of Wands, and it comes up repeatedly, that person is actively working on it, I will say that, but then there is still this sort of immaturity happening that throws it off track. But I will, like I said, give it the benefit of the doubt to defend itself, because it's definitely taken control. It's taken a toll on you mentally, emotionally, physically, and this is the point where you choose. Do you want this to become a cycle that's never ending, or it seems to be that way? Or do you want to end that cycle now so you can begin the healing process? Because from the outside perspective, wanting to give advice, the answer is fix it now to begin the healing process rather than prolong it or delay it. But when you're in those situations, you want to be forgiving, and we end up delaying the hurt from the situation. This alone, because it's like you're losing yourself. No, it's not just like it. You are losing yourself. You're losing your interest. You're down in this perspective that you don't want to pour into anything else because you've already done so much for this person. But yet they're just not. They're expecting it from you, they're not reciprocating that energy. So they're taking from you. Okay, so here's another thing too, is that I'm picking up. You are very supportive, but you don't receive that support back. Like I was saying with reciprocation, that's more a little bit detailed. Like you will support them, but they are not going to support back. They're going to take all of that. So there's no boundaries here. But you're just wishing that it could be different. I mean, don't we all? When we want things to work out, we will do absolutely everything it takes. But as of right now, it's not going to work out. And I'm just going to be straight up and honest. The Knight of Wands, when it comes to that energy, it takes a lot of conversations and they need to be motivated to make that change. And that motivation, I don't see it happening overnight very often, especially coming from a personal experience. Even with myself, when I want to make a change, it is so hard to do that overnight. And let's say they're actively working on it, but they want to give up. It's such a sticky situation that, though it is taking a toll on you in every aspect possible, the only thing that I don't see is pentacles. So I'm not seeing financial areas but we don't know what's really happening underneath the surface, especially when reading energy. If I were to continue pulling cards, I'm positive it would show up, because if something is draining you emotionally, mentally, and physically, it's going to have some type of effect on your financials as well, and just energy wise. So, because Pentacles is also like representation of energy. So if you're drained this way, to do a deep dive, there is so much more happening as well. But just from these 3 cards, the communication, it's just not working out. Let's shift our focus to the 5 of Cups. The 3 cups that symbolize celebration. Let's take a look at the 3 of Cups. That's where we can, without pulling more cards, we're going to look into the cards. The 3 of Cups symbolizes celebration. Something was canceled. And what was once celebrated is no longer celebrated. So this can even signify like a split in relationship, a divorce, but that's just really pulling from the possibilities. The 3 of Cups dumped over in the water is you're grasping for that fulfillment, but you're trying to force it. You're trying to force your cup full, or the cups full, and it's not going to work out. So maybe you wanted something more serious in this relationship, and they're just not about it. They are more adventurous right now. They don't really want to settle down. And I also see that within the Knight of Wands all the time. They move around from person to person at times. They aren't thinking about their actions as much as they should. Deep down, they are a good person, but they're not acting on that whatsoever. And unfortunately, I do not see you being the person that they're going to change with. Have a very long journey ahead. You're wanting something more serious. You wanted a celebration. You wanted, maybe you wanted marriage, a wedding. You wanted stability, and it's not happening for you. And diving into the 5 of Cups again, you are being guided and advised, like you are dodging something that could potentially get even worse. So you may ask yourself, well, how can it get worse? I'm already feeling in the dumps. You could be stuck with this person. And if you are currently stuck with this person, you are being advised that the way out is near. The way out is near. This is where you pick yourself up, you make plans, and you do what you have to do, even if it means starting over. And I know that sounds so scary. That's what stops people, is that fear, that hurdle. But what if it was guaranteed that you could pull yourself out of it and you would be doing so much better? You know how you guarantee that? You do it for yourself. You work very hard. You do what you need to do. Pile number 3, that is your message for this month. If you picked another pile, I will see you there. If not, be bold, be brave, and be kind. See you next time. Hello, pile number 4. How are you? The card that I pulled for you, we have the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the Empress. Okay, the Empress is the portal of life. It's where everything comes from. It's truly a powerful card. The energy of the Knight of Swords is a little bit different than what I have seen in the past. Had a recent run-into with the Knight of Wands last reading, so if you're a part of that, sorry that you had to experience my confrontation with the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Swords is a little bit better. I don't know what it is with this particular deck, my Crystal Visions deck by Jennifer Galasso. The Knights come off so much more, I don't know. They're so different compared to other decks. I enjoy the Knights, but like I said, sometimes me and the Knights just don't get along because of how they're represented in the reading. But for right now, I think this one's in the clear. Knight of Swords, they are someone that you want to look toward when it comes to endeavors and adventures. And like for the last reading, the Knight of Wands is not too bad. They're adventurous, but they do, like I said, tend to do things without thinking. And the Ace of Swords is this new energy emerging. And with the Empress, let's put these two together. This energy of balance between emotional intelligence and, the logical approach to things. The Knight of Swords energy of doing things, taking a risk, and experiencing life, doing the things that you love don't want to do things at the total expense of others. Ace of Swords is also this approach to the situation. Like, you're going to make a difference by bringing a different perspective into the situation, and that's going to put an end to any argument, any problem. It is the ultimate solution to your issues. And I'm seeing within the Empress that this is truly a nurturing energy. You are being advised to nurture certain aspects of yourself and people in your life. And while you do that, you're also able to discover more about you and enjoy the things that you like to do. I just shared something about grief. And I have been seeing a lot of butterflies in these cards. And there are they are prominent throughout here. But, seeing within these cards, this reading is going to shift. This is about processing loss, processing grief, and finding solutions to these things. There is life within grief. I made the connection of my sigil. It both had aspects of the butterfly and the ladybug, and how I connected the two because the ladybug eats the caterpillar during certain stages. Things that have affected you in the past, you have moved with them. And that's why the Knight of Swords come up, because you are being asked to take the risk, knowing that you are divinely guided. Really, I do feel like this is the path of darkness into the light. And it's not about, something negative and good. It's the darkness is needed for us to find our inner light and to see it, to guide us, to, move us. And that makes so much sense because of the Knight of Swords. You are this guiding light, even in the presence of turmoil, even in the presence of the storm. There is hope, and you are the proof. Something happened that wasn't supposed to, or wasn't ever supposed to, and I'm avoiding the topic because I'm trying. There's so many interpretations, and I know this is like, somebody's going to choose this pile and it may not even be drawn to it, but regardless if it's covering, birth, it's like physical birth, like bringing a life into this world, or birthing ideas, creative endeavors. Something wasn't supposed to happen, and it went against all the odds. You went against all of the odds. You pulled yourself through. You were the light in the storm, and you have continued to be the light. You have abilities. You help people in the physical world, and you help people in other dimensions. Spirits, you are a beacon. And I got chills. I don't know if he's gonna. There we go. Looky there. I relate to you because I have been called a beacon from the other side using my spirit box, because when I do communicate with spirit, they see me as light. They gravitate toward me, and I guide them. You have this ability, and you have brought life into this world against all odds. Answer to your question is yes. Expect miracles in your life. Expect them to show up even more into your life. As butterflies, even, let grief move through you, transform it, expand, evolve, transmute. You are the beacon of light. Pile number 4, that is your message for this month. If you picked another pile or you've already watched those, I'll see you there. If not, be bold, be brave, be kind. See you next time.